design. And the satellite ended up having the same capability, but just was very easy to make and launch. So, well, I'd say very easy. It's sort of hard, but it's being done, and the satellites are being produced at a rate now faster than we can launch them. So, and the cost of the satellite has dropped below the cost of transporting it to orbit. So even when taking the Falcon 9 in the most reused configuration, which is you get the booster back and you get the fairings back, the cost of transporting the satellite to orbit exceeds the cost of the satellite. So the satellite's in a good situation.
Okay.
And the cost of that satellite will keep coming down as we ramp up rates and make design improvements. So we really need Starship to carry Starlink in order to get the total delivered cost to orbit to be much better than it is today.
Okay.
Which is still pretty good.
So in terms of deciding what to build, you can take feedback from customers and let customers pull to you what they want, or you can be radically innovative within your company or a small set of individuals and develop something and push it into the industrial base. So customer pull would be Tesla owners wanting new features on the existing fleet. Push would be, company push would be something like when Apple pushed the iPad to everybody and nobody knew what an iPad was until they touched it and went, wow,
sure.
Everybody wants an iPad now. What do you all think about in terms of that balance between customer pull and company push?
Well, in the beginning, nobody wanted a Tesla, I can tell you that. When we made the original sort of Roadster sports car, people were like, well, why would I want an electric car? My gasoline car works fine. I'm like, no, electric car is better. I should try it. And it was hard to get people to do a test drive. First, nobody knew who we were. Never heard of this company. And I'm like, yeah, we're named after Nikola Tesla. You know that guy? Nope. So for sure we were doing push in the beginning because people said there was no one telling us that they wanted an electric car. So it was not out of like, it was like lots of people coming up to me saying, hey, I really want an electric car. I heard that 0 times. So people were like, it's like, man, we better make an electric car and show that these things can be good, and then people will want them. It's like, I think it was like Henry Ford said, like when we talk about the Model T, it's like if you asked the public what they wanted, they'd say a faster horse. Mm-hmm. So if you did like a big survey and say, well, hey, public, before automobiles, what would you like? It's like, well, I'd like my horse to go 3 miles an hour faster and eat less food and be stronger and live longer and that kind of thing. There'll be basically a bunch of incremental improvements on horse. Because people, when you say like, well, what about an automobile, that car that drives itself? Like, what are you talking about? That sounds crazy. But when you actually make an automobile and give it to people and say, okay, now this is a horse where you can keep it in the barn, and if you leave for a month, it's still alive. Yeah. So carry more weight than a horse and go further and that kind of thing. So. Anyway, it's like when it's a radically new product, people don't know that they want it because it's just not in their scope. I think when they first started making TVs, they did a nationwide survey. I think this might have been like 46 or 48. It was like a famous nationwide survey. Will you ever buy a TV? And it was like 96% of respondents said no. Some crazy number. Like basically everyone's like, would you buy a TV? And maybe they put a price in there or something, I don't know. But it was famously, almost everyone said they would not buy a TV, but they didn't know what they're talking about.
So the big game-changing stuff at the beginning, is a company push kind of a thing most of the time. But
Yeah.
then changes to the product over time can be a lot more customer pull kind of a focus.
Yeah, changes to the product over time can be incremental changes. Then the customers can certainly tell you. It's good to get customer feedback to say, how can we improve the product? And once they're using it, they can say, okay, I like this thing about it. I don't like this other thing, and then we can improve the product over time. Customer feedback after they have the fundamental thing is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the audience here, we have a lot of air and space warfighters. We have so people who use systems. We have a lot of developmental teams on both the government and the industry side, and we have the air and space leadership of the nation. So I got a little lightning round here for you.
Great.
To try and influence maybe some of those younger folks in the back who are looking for the next big thing. So in terms of different kinds of technology, whether it's artificial intelligence or medical or batteries or whatever, in the next 5 years, what technology do you think will see the most advancement?
Well, it's difficult to assess most in those contexts because they're very different. But I think probably the most transformative, most fundamentally transformative will be AI.
AI, okay. And if you were recommending to some of the young officers and enlisted troops in the room what sort of degrees to pursue at college, or what sort of education that they should prioritize for themselves in the modern era, what would you recommend?
Computer science and physics.
Computer science and physics, okay. How many computer science people do we have out there? How many physics people? Okay, we need more, apparently. Okay.
I mean, it's essentially information theory and physical theory. If you want to understand the nature of the universe, and these have very good predictive power, physics and computer science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As a nation that is interested in radical innovation to maintain its competitive edge, what are the things that the Department of the Air Force should be investing more in other than reusable rockets, from your perspective?
Again, I can't emphasize enough how important reusable rockets are. Yeah. You'll love it. It's great. And I think that you could actually do point-to-point on Earth with, to go long distances and be much better than aircraft. Because, I mean, basically, just think of like ICBM minus the nuke, add land, So it's just sort of in the option package, just, uncheck nuke and then add landing system, check. And that's definitely going to get you wherever you want to go the fastest. Because that's why they made ICBMs. They get there the fastest. So, I think that's going to be pretty exciting. Yeah, I think. Yeah. I mean, once you have a dramatically lower cost access to space, then many things are enabled. You can think of like, once you got the Union Pacific Railroad, then getting to the West Coast was much faster and much less dangerous.
Yeah.
You're not likely to sort of end up eating your compatriots in a snowy situation. So you can just take the train. So in the beginning they thought, why the heck are they building that stupid railway? There's nobody there. and they're like, but once you build the railway, they're like, okay, now it's easy to get to the West Coast, and now a huge portion of the U.S. population is on the West Coast. And actually, California is the most populous state in the nation. But it used to be, least populous, I suppose, or pretty low. So Many things are possible once the transport problem is solved. So that's why I think it's so fundamental. If you can't get there, or getting there takes a long time, and you can't risk, and every mission's got to work, then it's very hard to innovate.
Yeah.
It's got to be that, okay, some missions won't work, and the cost of running the experiment is low. That's why I'm harping so much on the cost of transport. You know, once you're there, I think, like say, establishing a base on the moon or base on Mars, there's just a tremendous amount of work that's needed to create a self-sustaining base on the moon or Mars, and it opens up a tremendous amount of opportunity, just as the Union Pacific Railroad did, by making access to the West Coast much easier.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, outside of the space realm, I think there's still a lot of opportunity in tunnels. I've been saying that for a long time. And tunnels are great. They're really great. And the Boring Company is about to finish its first tunnel in Vegas. I encourage people to please copy the Boring Company, or do better. That'd be great. There's a lot of. Yeah.
So in terms of domains, you have subterranean.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tesla covers the ground domain as capabilities. You've got the space domain covered with SpaceX and Starlink capabilities. I think this is the air warfare symposium. Folks in the audience might be interested in if you have any ideas for the air domain specifically.
Well, for the air domain, I think things are definitely going to go into kind of autonomous, or locally autonomous drone warfare. Is where it's at, where the future will be. I'm just saying, it's not I want the future to be this. It's just this is what the future will be.
Okay.
Is autonomous drone warfare. And at a local level, can't believe I'm saying this, because this is like dangerous, but it's simply what will occur is sort of drones locally being autonomous, but I think we still want to retain sort of the authority to damage or destroy anything that isn't an autonomous drone. Keep that authority back here with a person in the loop.
Okay.
But it's the fighter jet era has passed. That is, it's just, yeah, the fighter jet era has passed.
Okay.
So it's drones.
Yeah. Let's go back to failure for a minute, and the mindset that you and your leadership team at Tesla and SpaceX have on failure. I mean, the SpaceX blooper reel that you guys did in,
Sure.
I think it was 2017 timeframe, was definitely, hey, we embrace this learning that occurs. More recently with the Tesla truck and the ball through the window, also that mindset, that mindset that embraces failure. How do you personally, I mean, those kinds of failures would drive a lot of us in this room nuts, but doesn't seem to drive you nuts. Seems like you're very comfortable with it. Can you talk about the mindset that requires for you to be that accepting of that kind of failure?
Sure. Should we roll the video?
No.
Or should we not?
No, we should not roll the video. Not yet.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think of these things as just there's a certain amount of time, and within that time, you want the best net outcome. So, for all the set of actions that you can do, there's going to be, and some of which will fail, some of which will succeed, and you want the net useful output of your set of actions to be the highest. I mean, to use like a baseball analogy, like, at baseball, they don't let you just sit there and wait for the perfect pitch until you get a real easy one. They can give you 3 shots. And on the third one, they say, okay, and they get off they go back to put somebody else up there. So your 3 strikes on baseball, not on bat anymore. So what you're really looking for is like, what's the batting average? How you doing on score, and just there's going to be some amount of failure, but you want your net output, net useful output to be maximized. Failure is essentially irrelevant unless it is catastrophic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Intellectual property. Obviously, Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City have amazing capabilities that they're bringing to the public and to the government every day. How do you protect your intellectual property in a world where it seems like the cloud and servers and things are constantly under attack from people wishing to free you of your intellectual property?
Yeah, well, actually, at Tesla, we just open sourced our patents some years ago, so anyone can use our patents. So we really have not tried to protect intellectual property in that sense. We've tried to actually smooth the path, because the overarching goal of Tesla is to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. And so if we created a patent portfolio that discouraged other companies from making electric cars, that would be inconsistent with our mission. So we open sourced all the patents,
okay,
in order to help anyone else who wants to make an electric car. So I guess that's the opposite of protecting the IP. Now the real way I think you actually achieve intellectual property protection is by innovating fast enough. If your rate of innovation is high, then you don't need to worry about protecting the IP, because other companies will be copying something that you did years ago, and that's fine. Just make sure your rate of innovation is fast. Speed of innovation is what matters. And I do say this to my teams quite a lot, that innovation per unit time, as I go innovation per year, if you want to say it, is what matters, not innovation absent time. Because if you wanted to make, say, 100% improvement in something, and that took 100 years or 1 year, that's radically different. So it's like, what is your rate of innovation? That matters. And is the rate of innovation, is that accelerating or decelerating? And a weird thing happens when companies get big is that most companies or organizations, the bigger they get, they tend to get less innovative. Not just less innovative on a per person basis, but less innovative in the absolute. And I think this is probably because the incentive structure is not there for innovation. It's not enough to use words to encourage innovation. The incentive structure must be aligned with that. That's fundamental.
So taking that from a business level to a national level in terms of, obviously, the United States, largest economy in the world, China, the second largest economy in the world currently and gaining fast. What sort of things that could you share with the audience here that are your thoughts on the competition, economic or military, between the United States and China?
Sure. Well, I think China's a real interesting country, I have to say. The thing to appreciate about China is just that there's a lot of really smart, really hardworking people there, and they're going to do a lot of great things. This is sort of, independent of Chinese government policy. They're just going to do a lot of interesting things. The thing that will feel pretty strange is that the Chinese economy is going to be probably at least twice as big as the U.S. economy. Maybe 3 times, but at least twice. And that assumes a GDP per capita still less than the U.S. But since they have about 4 or 5 times the population, then it would only require getting to a GDP per capita of half the United States for their economy to be twice the size of ours. And as I'm sure people in this room know, the foundation of war is economics. And so if you have half the resources of the counterparty, then you better be real innovative. If you're not innovative, you're going to lose.
I'm not sure whether that's a cyber attack that's ongoing or not here, so. The clock says I have 11 minutes left. Is that not true?
Let's get some smooth.
All right, so smooth jazz,
now
Elon.
Smooth jazz.
It's coming through the House system. We're working to get it shut off.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, well, anyway. So yeah, with respect to China, China's economy is going to be 2 to 3 times the size of the U.S. economy, at least double. So therefore, in order for the U.S. to be competitive on a military level, the innovation has to overcome a gigantic gap in economic output.
Okay.
So in the absence of radical innovation, the U.S. will be militarily second.
Okay.
Basic math.
What, from the standpoint of radical innovation, we already talked about workforce, we talked about processes, we talked about protecting intellectual property rights. Let's talk about overall culture. That culture that you try and push into your companies that makes them successful. Any of us, and I sat right next to one of your SpaceX employees on the plane here yesterday, a young engineer. It was motivating for me just to talk to her about what she was doing every day and how important her job was. And I just felt like the only other place I've seen that kind of culture is, frankly, in the Department of the Air Force with some of our young folks that are sprinkled around the back of the room. How do you create that culture at SpaceX and Tesla to make employees like that?
Well, wow, this smooth jazz is on us with a vengeance. It's like, I feel like we're in a big elevator. So, well, first of all, when we interview people, we do ask for some evidence of exceptional ability, which in most cases includes innovation. This is not to say that everyone needs to be innovative. But we certainly need those that are doing advanced engineering to be innovative. And ideally, everyone is at least to some degree innovative. So at the interview point, we select for people who want to create new technology, and then the incentive structure is set up such that innovation is rewarded. Making mistakes along the way does not come with a big penalty. But failure to try to innovate at all comes with a big penalty. You'll be fired.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The carrot and stick.
Yes.
That's the stick.
If you don't even try, or somebody doesn't even try to innovate, or their innovation aspirations are not very good, then yeah, they will no longer be at the company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we got about 5 minutes left, and what I'd like to do is just turn it over to you, Elon, to talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. If you have a message for the audience here, you have 1,000+ air and space professionals and the greatest air and space force on the planet. So what do you want to tell them?
We got to make Starfleet happen. Like, you know? So we want, like, I don't know, real big spaceships that can go far places, and well, this will probably get me into the most trouble of all. I think this should be a new uniform. That's that's like I don't know, cool uniforms, cool spaceships. I think that's what when the public hears Space Force, that's what they think. It's like, okay, we're gonna have like some sweet spaceships and like pretty good uniforms and stuff, and that's what the public wants. So we want the sci-fi futures, the good sci-fi futures to be real, and ideally to become real while we're still alive. And we want to see it happen. And so I think we just really need to drive the rate of innovation to be such that we would see big breakthroughs, big improvements in space technology in the years to come. So, yeah. So, like, just try to make Starfleet happen as soon as humanly possible, and definitely while we're still alive. Yeah. So, I'm not sure about warp drive, but other stuff I think can be done.
Gotcha.
Warp drive and teleportation, probably not, but big spaceships that can go far places, definitely that can be done.
Understood.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk.